Hello everyone and welcome. Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. I hope you're doing fantastically well. Sorry for the shortage of videos this week. Of course, the real world work doesn't allow me to become a full whale and retire yet, so that obviously takes priority. So I try and do these as and when I can in the evenings and the mornings especially. So guys, I wanted to do another quick recap on CordaCon, linking this with EVs, what's going on in the world right now with energy, and particularly here in the UK with petrol. I really want to hammer home the topic of what is really going on here and how petrol shortages aren't something that's just necessarily happened in the short run, but what has accumulated to this, and why are we moving to a society that is going to be used in tokenomics, and why is this agenda being pushed so much right now. So let's take a look quickly at the overview of the Corda. So the multitude of topics, and I did say in the last video from XDC Corda that the most interesting topic I wanted to look at out of the last few days, and there have been some phenomenal ones. It was about Vodafone, how they're using blockchain. And to be honest, I knew that they were going to talk about IoT, but what I did not know is they were going to pull in some absolute blinders of information around EV and their association with Energy Web Foundation. Of course, a big project, one that we love here and one we talk about quite a lot. So let's go into this. Obviously, I can't share the video, unfortunately, because a lot of it's all copyright. And understandably, you had to register for this kind of event. So I think you might still be able to get access to watch the videos. But I do recommend, if you can do so, to definitely watch as many as you can. But we're going to cover this one off in particular. And these guys so basically were sort of talking around what's Vodafone's transition over the last few years since they were utilizing Corda, the partnership with Corda, and ultimately eventually the XDC tokenomics when it comes to macro payments and payments in general. So utilizing a blockchain, essentially developing that whole kind of like SIM card and phone identity into a blockchain society such as Corda. And bear in mind, Vodafone, I mean, currently, I think the statistics they threw out in the video, 130 million Internet of Things devices already associated as users of Vodafone. So IoT, as we covered in multiple AI and IoT projects, is something I'm very familiar with in terms of my expertise in the real world, as it were. So 130 million Internet of Things. So this is basically anything that will connect to the internet. And in this sense, with Vodafone, I would assume that it's something around sort of SIM cards of 4G, 5G technology connectivity. So it could be anything really these days, obviously smartphones being one of the key ones. But now, of course, into cars, and we'll talk about that a bit more in detail in a second. And we will have a bit of chart information on a couple of these projects as well towards the end. But I just wanted to, as I said, bring these together. But back to the topic. So around the digital identity element, they want to create essentially the decentralized identity, so secure ID of people versus things. So how do they bring the devices into a decentralized identity? So they have kind of like a 3-pillar system they were talking about: human, product, and device, and looking to make the device into essentially an autonomous aspect, which is quite of course an interesting thing to think about. And we talk about autonomy a lot in our IoT X videos, our IOTA videos, and pretty much anything AI IoT related, because this is how it's all going to go. So giving that device entity essentially a reputation, which then allows it to be essentially acknowledged and verified on blockchain technology, and utilizing many aspects of that to then push into other ecosystems. One particular one that they were talking about was EV. So essentially around allowing the link of various other companies, so not just Vodafone, not just Corda, but allowing other companies and projects to interlace with each other. So full-on interoperability to help with scalability. Because when we mentioned in the IOTA video and a couple of other ones, the blockchain philosophy. You know, everyone always goes tribal when we talk about crypto in Twitter and everything, and everyone's like backing each other as if like they own the project, and they get angry with each other. And it's like, well, actually, guys, there isn't going to be one winner in blockchain. They're all going to be utilized together for it all to work. So one of the key aspects that Vodafone and around this topic were mentioning was that infrastructure of interoperability with other blockchains and other technologies to essentially create that token-based peer-to-peer system. In order to, you know, transfer tokens to tokens or assets to assets, you need that interoperability throughout the system. Okay, so that's what they're talking about in smart contracts. When we're going back to talk about the device identities, of course, smart contracts then allows you as your device to make the decisions and the consensus without your essential permission. You've kind of already, with the algorithm, the AI has developed an understanding of what you would normally do and what you would perceive or choose to do. And with smart contract data, taking that identity, digital identity of yourself, think of yourself in like two forms. Yeah, so you have yourself in person, but then you have a digital person. And of course, as you know, algorithm of Google and smartphone devices and things like this will show you adverts that you are based on your search terms or your speech and this, that, and the other. Think of that aspect as a digital identity in terms of the way you purchase, the way you buy things, the way you behave, in the whole interoperable spectrum. So it's taking that, putting into smart contract aspect to essentially enable decisions to be made on your behalf. And as I said in the previous videos, we're at the moment in current stage of like human to machine learning, right? But eventually it will be machine to machine learning. So that whole transition is happening right now, and we're essentially delivering data, whether you like it or not. We are delivering data to these systems, which will then eventually take control of things that you don't have time to do, or purchase products. I mean, let's take it short term here. So your fridge, for example, and I always remember this maybe 10-15 years ago, someone telling me about this kind of nonsense. I was like, how on earth is that possible? But imagine a 5G fridge, right? Or an IoT fridge, internet based fridge, that would know what items you've taken out of your fridge, you know, because of things like the chips, which are integrated, of course, in the AI algorithm. When you talk about like VeChain in terms of supply mechanism and autonomy with IoT, like imagine drone deliveries dropping you things every day based on the things that you've taken out of your fridge. That's the kind of thing I'm getting at with this aspect. So it's making that decision for you. So you don't have the time, you don't have to think. It's like auto subscribe and save when with Amazon that I have a lot of. So every month I get deliveries, but I've scheduled things. So like I'll get a certain product every 3 months or every 1 month, depending on what I put on there, because I know the rhythm of how I purchase. But that's going to take that away from me and know actually that I've used this much or that much, or I purchased this around a couple months ago and that. So this is just from a purchasing perspective. There's so many options available, and we'll go into the EV section as well. But yeah, imagine a fridge just like reordering stuff for you, and then you get a delivery by drone the next day, and it's all part of the blockchain smart grid. This is what we talk about in all the videos, and hopefully that's kind of tying it all together in a nice little story here for you guys. So and the other thing as well they were discussing outside of that was with sort of the Energy Web Foundation, the ability with NFTs and tokenomics around land. They've got partnerships, guys, with land registry. Okay, we don't do these videos for fun. We don't talk about like Proppy, for example, or Labs, you know, all these really key sort of real estate blockchain technology opportunities for fun. Okay, we do it for knowledge aspect and hopefully down the line dot connecting like we are today. So we're talking about land registry, guys. About buying and selling houses and land through tokenomics. Forget real estate agents, you know, estate agents in general. Their days are numbered. I'm sorry to say it, but their days are numbered. Because eventually, because of smart contracts and know your customer systems in blockchain, you and I could sell a house within like a couple of minutes, not 3 or 4 months, because everything's already built in. Data, trust, the removal of money laundering because of historic data in finance, all of this stuff. It's crazy. They went on to talk about distributed energy resources, DERs. This will be a keyword that you see many, many more times in the near future, especially around energy conversations and blockchain. And they were talking about certificates of energy, how that can be operated with NFTs, and also utilizing likes of Energy Web Foundation, i.e. EWT, tokens for the energy using the Internet of Things aspect, but also for like payment cards, tokens, the payments in general, but also things about like stock of energy assets, guys. So not just within your home, interoperability of peer-to-peer management, i.e., look around you guys, right? The independent petrol stations, the independent energy companies are disappearing. It's exactly the same model that has been rectified in the last 10, 12 years, specifically in the UK, for example, of independent stores in the high street. Why are they doing this? To remove the amount of things and create a more solid, not necessarily fully controlled, but certainly a more modular aspect of life. So less stores that use less environmental impacts, they can create more apartments and flats because of the space that's been taken. I mean, you go down London, right? There was a couple of years that I wasn't in London for work and stuff, and I literally went back to Tottenham Court Road, right, which used to be full of independent stores. Phenomenal people, loved going to visit them for store visits and stuff like that, and it was all gone. It was all gone. Literally, the whole entire street was unrecognizable. And I was like, what on earth's going on here? There's, sky-rise apartments, all brand new, built. This is what it was to do, to design the space and make revenue out of space that, how much rent could they get off these people? How many purchases of property from, foreign entities and things like this? And it sort of started to click, and it's exactly the same with the fuel. It's exactly the same with the energy. And eventually you're going to get the adoption of smaller amounts of services in these different sectors. Amazon will probably control pretty much anything to do with food, pharmacy, you name it. There's no doubt about it. The iRobot film, for example. But think in terms of the petroleum aspect, if you only have to look at EWT to see who they're partnered with. For example, Shell, Total, PTT, TEPCO, EDF are buying independent energy companies left, right and centre the last few weeks that have gone out conveniently out of business. How on earth have we got a power shortage all of a sudden? Why have we also got people with blackouts? Guys, come on. How many times? Like, the media and everything is a circus. Your prime minister, presidents are a circus. They are not the true power. They are spokespeople, the people above them, the World Economic Forum, the people that are actually engineering blockchain for the last 10, 15 years. This isn't a new thing. It's not come out of nowhere. This has all been planned, part of the Agenda 30 program. Honestly, if you haven't read it, go and download it. You'll understand all of this. And I'll pull in why I'm talking about all this in general in a minute. But back to the Vodafone story, and you can see this whole link together now. When we're talking about Corda and XDC, why I'm so bullish about it, because it's powering so many things, from the payment aspect, the smart contracts, the interoperability, unbelievable partners in IoT, 5G, smart grid. It's all interlaced, guys. The whole thing is a game. It's coming. Honestly, it's incredible the magnitude of this, and what we are invested in and what we are fully in right now is just the beginning. Not even the beginning. It's not even become a thing yet. So you're taking these smart SIM cards, as the identity. So EV charging, you're talking about grid integration, 77.9% increase per annum they're expecting through to the year of 2029. Absolutely phenomenal, $1 billion market revenue. Grid distributed assets, guys. This is what it's all about. SIM-centric blockchain technology. All keywords that you're going to hear over the next few years, especially in this space. SIM-centric blockchain technology, SCB, smart contracts. We're talking about wind turbines, batteries, solar panels, heat pumps, all integrated within a tokenomic system. You ask yourselves what's going on right now. Not every country is going through this, but the ones that are developing the fastest and getting their heads in gear are doing this right now. They're proving to the world that we need a new system. They create the problem, they already have the solution, and then it becomes no surprise to anyone. Everyone jumps for joy because they think they've been saved by the government, when actually it's a load of technology that we're already invested in through crypto. It's incredible. Guys, before we go into the chart, let me pick out a few of these. UK petrol station decline. Obviously this is a natural occurrence because, of course, as of now, more and more people are getting electric cars for sure. But What has also happened is the reduction in independence. They've been bought out by bigger ones. Car engine efficiency, of course, with Euro 5, Euro 6 developments and diesel. This is understandable, but look at this pattern that you see exactly the same with the high street. It's the demolition of the sector. And then once you do that, you get more control, because the bigger powers that be in these individual sectors get bigger. They interlace companies. You look at the high street here in the UK, you've got like House of Fraser, Debenhams, all these. They're all being integrated into one stores now. It's long overdue. But it's the experience. It's about the experience for the customer, and those that do go shopping still have everything in one place. It's exactly the same with the fuel. And once you've got the tokenomics, it doesn't matter where you are. Your electrical current in your house, your flats, your apartments, utilizing EV technology grids through tokenomics. This is what it's about. It doesn't matter who you're with, what you're with. Peer-to-peer means you can buy and sell off anyone. You can sell your energy. You can buy your energy from whoever to whoever, whatever, for essentially a free system, because at the end of the day, these blockchains are all about efficiency, lack of transaction fees, and all of this great stuff. No gas fees. This is what it's coming to. A full unity in economics. Incredible. Tokenomics. That's why the whole point about it. Nearly half of UK's independent petrol stations still lack fuel. Why do you think that is? Because they don't want the small ones to have the fuel. They want the big ones, because then these guys don't have the revenue from people coming to their little shops and this, that and the other, right? It's turmoil. It's a circus, guys. It's part of the plan. Please do bear this in mind. This is a couple, I think this might be from last year. The number of petrol stations is falling in the UK, but climate change action has little to do with it. Okay, well, that's a bit of an argument there for sure, but it's going about electric vehicles versus petrol stations. And look at this. Look at this. It's already on an organic decline anyway, but it's about acceleration. Look what's happened last year with the acceleration of cashless society. Everything, track and trace, facial recognition, all these things that we didn't want in our world, we're now accepting. It's going to be exactly the same in all these other sectors as well. Incredible. Couple of other points here before we go into the chart. Australia's energy market operated to trial DER marketplace. So DER being about the energy demand data exchange around edge. It's incredible, guys. Like, this is what it's about. It's moving to blockchain. It's creating problems, blackouts, and all these things. And they go, oh, do you know what? All these small companies are gone now. You can trust us. We're the big guys, and we're dealing with all the big blockchains that have been. EWT, Energy Web Token, Energy Web Foundation, is older than Ethereum, I believe, in terms of a blockchain. Incredible. China, state grid to pilot renewable trading on blockchain. A new power system. Guangzhou, fantastic city. I have been, as I have Hangzhou. Incredible cities that are so advanced. You'd go there and you think, where am I? And I'm in the future. So all about 2030, Agenda 30. Go and download a document off the UN. There's a reason why a date keeps appearing. It's not because it's a rounded number. It's because there's a whole plan and process which is happening right now. This is what the whole point of this conversation. Other elements of keywords: blockchain, IoT deployment. It's all interlinked. Hangzhou, been there many times. Why it's the end of the road for petrol stations is back from June, okay? Way before these nonsense shortages and things about electric cars, government diesel. No mention here about technology or blockchain, just anything and everything about batteries and this, that and the other. But of course it is interlaced in the sense that it's about electric cars, EVs. How are we going to create the system? Pretty much whatever you're doing, energy will be flowing into your cars. 97% of electric charges will happen away from petrol pump equivalents. They'll be everywhere, and they'll all be on a completely different system. You'll just see all your local garages, like with the apartments and flats, they'll either be turned into those, or they'll just be used for some other nonsense. Siemens, convenience stores, all these old petrol stations. You see what I mean? It's all part of it, guys. Energy Web Solutions, about renewable energy markets. Talking here about digitalization of proof of impact. You've got EWT, which is absolutely phenomenal technology that they built. Demand flexibility, so utilizing tokenomics algorithm as to how much you should and shouldn't have, all on an automated system. None of this nonsense smart meter having to put meter reading things in every month. It's all done and dusted for you. And that's going back to the topic, looping it back round before we go into the chart, of the whole energy web tokenization, payment card tokens, payment micropayments, utilizing IoT interoperability, peer-to-peer, Vodafone, Corda, aka XDC tokens. It's all interlaced, guys. And when we talk about interoperability, this is why I don't like people going, oh, XDC, it's a this coin, it's a that coin, and other coins. It's like, guys, grow up. We're not children. This isn't a game. These are actual projects. They're all going to be utilized. Obviously, some will be palmed off because they won't pass the SEC stuff. By the way, EWT is approved by the SEC. Good timing, that's scrolling. It's in the making, guys. Let's go into the chart. I hope you've kind of found this interesting and a bit of the link up play. That's why I was so excited to see that Vodafone one, because I literally thought it was going to talk fully about IoT application through Vodafone and blockchain. Of course, it did for a bit, and it just literally blew my mind when they started talking about the Energy Web Foundation, which I knew they were a partner anyway. But they started talking about the development of the program, and then started interlacing with all the other things, and I suddenly clocked on even more about, well, this makes even more sense now. The timing. Follow the money. Do what they do, not what they say. Trust me. The charts, guys. Let's start with XDC. I know it's a bit of a random one to pull in these two projects into one video, but why not? It makes sense, right? XDC, since the last video we did a day or two ago, we're in this small decline movement here. And we did put this potential buy opportunity box here. I don't think it's actually hit the number that I put it in. I'll have to double check. I can't remember in the last video what I said. I haven't checked my Qcoin account yet. But actually it might have done, because I think we did adjust these yellow lines to the specific areas. So I didn't think we had two areas, one here and one here. So we put this line on 12.28. Yeah, that rings a bell. And it looks like we had the low of 12.15, so I'll probably be even happier, because that's probably my last bag of XDC that I sold up here being reaccumulated. So it's now down to hopefully some growth patterns, so we start taking more profits and doing the same thing again. But guys, this is quite a natural thing to see. If we look on the MACD here, the switch over has gone into a bullish movement, in the sense that we've switched over here on the 24th September. We are having a bit of a narrowing period here, but I consider this to be hopefully a stabilization, in the sense that we get confirmation of this support line at 11.75. And if we do that, guys, I think it's going to be fantastic these next couple of months, because then we can start pushing to get this support line of around 13 cents and push that up. I'm looking forward to that. We've already been down here where we said we would go. We've already been up here where we already thought we would go. So now I think it's just determining, can we get support here? Are we going to come back to test down here again? Because historically, as we said in previous videos, not too much data around that area. So it is definitely a possibility. It doesn't mean it's a terrible project or anything like that. It just means healthiness, in the sense that we are doing things the correct way with this project. This was such a big jump up. We need to make sure we know where we're supposed to be with XDC. Not necessarily where we want to be right now in our minds, but it's important to be realistic. The RSI is quite a good position right now. If I was purchasing, I would be not putting gigantic amounts, in the anticipation that we might come down a bit more. This is not financial advice, just personal opinion. If I was buying directly, I mean, of course, I'm using tokens or assets that I've already obtained through profit taking. But yeah, we're in a good position here. I do anticipate this maybe cool off here. We might have a little stabilization period before a big jump up, hopefully mid-October, end of October into November. I'm looking forward to it, guys. I think Xinfin is probably the most underrated and under the radar projects out there. But if you go into Corda R3, who's behind it, what they're doing, the interlacing with other projects like we just mentioned, and dot connecting those to other ones, it's unbelievable, guys, unbelievable. So that's where XDC is right now. EWT, we did cover a few days back. There's not too much activity in terms of their project announcements or anything else, other than the usual stuff that they're doing. So it's just general chart analysis here, guys. So we're floating around this sort of period here. You see this top red line from the long-term Fibonacci retracement. I've also got a short-term one here. So if I just draw that out a bit more, so we keep that in line, I believe, you can just about see it. So 794 is kind of like a really key critical support area. We touched it 21st, 22nd, we've touched it 28th, 29th, 30th, and we've had rejections on all 5-6-ish of days within that period. So this is really positive, guys, because obviously we came from down this level when we had the big correction. I was buying quite a few at 459, didn't buy a massive amount of them, just because I have portfolio all over the place at the moment. But in general for this, guys, this is really positive. It's showing a true barrier here, in my opinion. And it looks like that if we can get that support confirmed, which it looks like we might have done, we're attacking this area now at the 880. And if we can get a few stabilizations over that, like we had in this period here, obviously it got rejected at this point, unfortunately. But if we can get a stabilization around that 883 or just over 870, I would say, I think that's going to be fantastic, guys. We'll get a couple, 2-3 days of stabilization there. We'll be pushing up again back to that 9 and that 10. And I think by the time we're at the end of October into November, guys, we'll probably be smashing through that previous all-time high that we saw way back here. And so we're obviously a bit far off still. $23 we hit earlier in the year. So if we can fly past that, that would be absolutely phenomenal. On the fib retracement is suggesting that we could be getting well over that $80 mark. I think that is achievable, especially as things like the world are occurring right now. And if the awareness starts kicking in and people start realizing what is going on and what's being done about it and what's going on in the background, I think this is the kind of project that's going to absolutely explode, guys. We're still in the bearish momentum on the MACD here. We haven't had the full switch over yet, but I think it's coming, guys. I just feel it. And it kind of entails here with the histogram going to a pale red, so we're having a bit of a tail off here. I think in the next few days we might get that determination of pushing up to this level, and that will switch over, in my opinion. And this RSI will start shooting up for sure. I think it's still a great, again, not financial advice, but right now is a good opportunity to be getting them. The risk is being reduced quite a bit in the sense that if we do drop down, it's not a gigantic, massive missed opportunity. But I think these areas compared to where this token is going to be, especially short term and long term, it's absolutely phenomenal. Weekly, monthly were down. We had a lot of Bitcoin traction, but we got to think about this where we drew in the previous video, going from that bottom point to that top point over a relatively short period of time, to be honest. But we had a fantastic 268% reduction since that point. From there to pretty much where we are now, around about 50% retracement, which is very amicable. I think we're on our way, guys, very soon, for me, in my opinion. Let us know in the comments below if you're holding XDC or EWT. Any of the other ones as well we mentioned, like IOTA, ITX, anything AI IoT related is absolutely phenomenal to be accumulating, in my opinion. And guys, just let us know what you think about the video. I know it's dragged on, but hopefully you found the nice linking interesting. And guys, I'll keep you updated as much as possible as I can with all this interesting stuff. I find it interesting, at least. I hope you do too. And if you do, please do smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, guys. And hopefully we'll see you on the moon. And hopefully we'll get fuel again, because I'm pretty tired of looking at these walls. Goodbye, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.